But I've now set up my website, okay? If I go on Google or any of these search engines, I can't find myself. Well, I mean, you know, people talk about search engine rankings and all that sort of stuff. I guess you set your website up to market your business, but you then have to market your website so that people find the website that's marketing your business.
Yes.
How do you ensure that people can do that?
There are a lot of different levels. Unfortunately, this is one of those answers which is kind of how long is your piece of string, because there are a lot of different things that you can do, some of which are pretty straightforward and kind of mechanical, and some of which require much more kind of constant ongoing attention. And if you know, and some businesses simply don't have the ability or the resource or the time to worry about that end of the scale. But there are certain things that you can do as a basic starting point. The first thing that you should absolutely do is when you first launch your website on your brand new domain name, is you should go to Google and Yahoo and the other big search engines, and they'll all have an ability. You just have to find the right page where you submit a site to them, and you need to do no more than just type in your domain name, hit submit, and effectively what that's doing is telling Google or whichever search engine it is that your site exists, that it is on the internet, and it is potentially full of content that somebody might one day want to search for. Then, after a period of time, which will vary according to the search engine and a number of other factors, those search engines will index your site. They'll actually come to your site and they'll look at the content that you've got and they'll file it all away and note that if the key phrase business advice is ever sought by somebody typing that phrase into a search box, that yours is a website that contains content relating to business advice. And so there's an opportunity for your site to appear in those rankings. Where it will appear is dependent on a whole host of other factors, not all of which are the same from one search engine to another, and most of which they tend to keep quite secret because they don't want people knowing them in order to be able to gimmick their position in the search rankings. So there are a lot of things that will have an effect on this. And some of them are really, really kind of odd things that you might not expect, like actually having well-written HTML code, the code behind the web page, will actually do better for you in terms of search engine ranking than badly written code. Things like that people don't necessarily think will make a difference, those are the kind of things that you can do when you're building the site to make sure it will at least be search engine friendly. But then over and above that, there are things that you can do just to kind of make the site more visible. Because one of the other things that will help with things like search engine rankings is the more places that link to your website, the better. Because generally speaking, the more places that link to the site, there's this kind of sense that your site is more well regarded and therefore is potentially a better source of good information. So, for example, if you're in a trade organisation and that trade organisation has a directory of members online, make sure that as well as the company name and the address and the phone number and the fax number, make sure it lists the URL. Make sure that your domain name is listed alongside your business. If you have trading partners, a supplier who supplies some component to the thing that you make, for example, make sure that you talk to them about reciprocal arrangements so that on your website you can say we're proud to make use of widgets supplied by company X, and company X on their website says among the many companies that benefit from our outstanding widgets is your company, and use the URL and actually link the sites backwards and forwards. Starting to create those kind of reciprocal arrangements, those linking backwards and forwards situations, is a way of helping raise the visibility of the website. It also is a way of helping bring other people in, because obviously there will be people looking at that website who might be interested to see what use those widgets are being put to. So there's both a potential for human traffic in the website sense coming to the site, but there's also the fact that kind of activity will make the site more visible to things like search engines. And then there's offline things. There's really, really obvious things that a surprising number of businesses don't think about. Is your website address on your business cards? Is it on your letterhead? Is it on your invoices? Is it on every single bit of collateral that you produce? Every single thing that has your logo on it, does it have your URL on it as well. Do you have a van? You know, do you make deliveries? Is the web address on the van? All of those things. When you send out an email, do you have a standard signature that includes your name and your phone number and your email address and your website address? All of those things are really easy and everyday things that people still, astonishingly, occasionally don't think about, because they're so used to the idea that there is an offline world and an online world and that they don't necessarily connect. So from that point of view, it's quite easy to create greater visibility for your website, both through things like search engines and interconnected websites, but also just in people's minds by making sure that whenever they think about your business, they're aware that they've seen the web address.